our Republican Congress in Washington, D.C. made that first leap, that first step. Only one Republican said no. Every Democrat said no. But enough Republicans said yes. Every single Republican but one said yes. We are willing to cut Medicaid by $880 billion. And so they voted to start the process to figure out how to do it. Folks, this is what we were signaling. This is what we were telling. This is what were articulating before the election. If you're going to give $4 trillion of tax cuts to wealthy folks, you got to get it from the poor people, the mass of poor people to pay for that. And that is a large percentage of Trump's base, of MAGA. They will pay the price. The layoffs that's been coming, guess what? A lot of Republicans work for government. A lot of MAGA work for government. But we'll talk about that on the other side, because listen to near the end of the video what Steve Bannon had to say. It's going to be kind of tricky. A lot of MAGA, a lot of Trump voters are on Medicaid. Listen for it. But check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
What it does is authorize the Republican-controlled House Energy and Commerce Committee, which oversees Medicaid, to find $880 billion in spending cuts. Republicans say those cuts are going to come from Medicaid. That's because they need to find a way to pay for the $4.5 trillion tax cut that is also included in this plan. That's trillion with a T. It is a massive handout to the likes of Elon Musk and Donald Trump's other wealthy benefactors, corporations, rich people. So to be clear, this is a vote to cut healthcare for 70 million low-income Americans, elderly Americans, Americans with disabilities, in order to transfer those savings to the very wealthy and to large corporations and their shareholders. They're going after Medicaid for the same reason that Willie Sutton robbed banks. It is where the money is. And they need to offset their tax cuts for the rich. And I guess they decided the most vulnerable Americans are going to be the ones to pay for it. Now, Republicans have been champing the bit to gut Medicaid for decades. George W. Bush wanted to do it. Paul Ryan wanted to do it. Mitt Romney wanted to do it. Donald Trump wants to do it. They haven't, though, at least not to the scale they would like to, because social insurance programs like Medicaid are popular. In fact, a recent poll from the Kaiser Family Foundation found that more than 3/4 of all Americans view the program favorably. Nearly half of all Americans think we don't spend enough on Medicaid. It's not something you really want to mess with. There's a little bit of a problem here, and that is made all the more complicated by the fact that lots of Trump voters are on Medicaid, which is why when you poll Trump voters specifically, just Trump voters, 71% oppose cuts to the program. My favorite quote on this comes from Republican Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey. Remember him? He was formerly a Democrat. Then he switched for parties and became this like diehard MAGA guy. And he gave the game away during an interview with the Washington Post. Listen to this quote. Ready? Don't touch seniors' Medicare and don't cut Medicaid because it isn't just for lazy welfare people. It's for real people. Van Drew said. That's the new Republican Party, a populist party, a party of working people, a party of blue-collar people. What do you think he meant by, it's not just for lazy welfare people, it's for real people? You see, for years, Republicans have been painting all social insurance programs, including Medicaid, as being for, as Congressman Van Drew put it, lazy welfare people, welfare with a hard R. But now their party base has changed, and they need Medicaid recipients as part of their coalition.
Get into Medicaid. Medicaid, you got to be careful because a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong. Medicaid's going to be a complicated one. Just can't take a meat axe to it, although I would love to.
Perfect. I'd love to. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. Obviously, I want to take a meat axe to Medicaid, but there are a lot of Trump voters on Medicaid. So this is where things really start to get very complicated in the Congress. It's starting the Republicans on the path towards the total devastation of the federal government, maybe their political coalition. I mean, if you thought it was bad when they fired park rangers and cancer researchers, they now want to use the power of the purse to gut Medicaid. And you can bet Medicare and Social Security won't be far behind.
Folks, this is important. We've been telling you about this before the election. For every single government worker that got laid off of the Republican or MAGA persuasion, remember, you voted yourself out of a job as well as you voted many others out of a job. Remember, those government jobs pay quite a bit more and comes with quite a bit more benefits than many of the private sector jobs that you hold. And instead of saying, let's get the private sector to pay us good as well as the public sector, many of you said, why are they making so much? Not realizing that many of your mothers, your fathers, your daughters, your friends worked at those good paying, deserving jobs. Think about that. We warned. It's important, however, as much as we warned, it's important that those of us who warned don't just say we told you so, because that helps nobody. What we say is, my brother and sister of the MAGA Republican persuasion, we must save the country together. We can work together to stop these evil beings who looked you in the eyes and told you there are no Medicaid cuts coming. They told you that. Your Führer, Donald Trump, told you that. He looked in your eyes on Fox News and said there will be no cuts to Medicaid. There would be no cuts to Social Security. There would be no cuts to SNAP. He told you. He looked in your eyes. We always said he's a great liar. And most of what comes out of those filthy lips of the Führer are lies. We told you. Now, we can still work together to make sure that it doesn't come to pass. You should be at every town hall, whether virtual or physical, and let it be known that is not what you want. And if they do it, they're out of a job. That's the one and only thing that they understand. The mistake that was made can still be mitigated. Now it's on you to mitigate said mistake.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.